everyone, this is April with Flowers with the Foss family. We garden in zone 4A, and today we're going to do our weekly front yard garden tour. I'm just going to, I don't know, hopefully keep it shorter this time. I know sometimes they get kind of long, but I hope you like it, and I will have a little bit of commentary here and there. So there you go. Keep watching. This is a vine that has been growing on our house since we bought this house 22 years ago. I've been asked many times what it is, and I have no idea. I probably could use my phone and figure it out now. Maybe I'll do that. But this is a vine that grows on our house and grows on our garage, and we've always had it. I've always looked at it, but just last year I really started to appreciate it. It turns really, really bright red, as you can see, and then it was little green berries, and now they're turning blue with the red vine. It's just really pretty. And I don't know how to use my gimbal very well, as you can see, so I'm struggling. Please bear with me. I'm trying to learn it. This is our purple leaf sand cherry, which we really love also. And then our sunflower that's probably ready to be cut down. The sand cherry has really grown a lot since last year, as well as many of our plants that we bought last year. Please excuse our house. It's 100 years old, in desperate need of paint and all the things. This little silly video of me is me trying to figure out the gimbal. I don't have a hang of it. As you can see, it's a super sped up version of me trying to figure it out. So our cute little mums are starting to bud up, and I can't wait for them to bloom. I don't know when it's going to happen. I hope it starts soon. I'm really looking forward to it. On each side of the mum is parsley, and I wonder when we're going to be ready to cut that back. It's starting to really get full. I mean, it's not starting, it is really full right there. Our sedum is covered in bees. It's kind of fun to watch. It's like they're in a frenzy, just crawling all over the sedum. It's fun to watch. And then our basil I've been cutting off of, and so it's really windy. It's not super windy, but it's pretty windy, and you can see the purple fountain grass just moving around there. So cute. I think we're going to start pulling up some of our annuals, like the flamingo feathers right there. They're pink and they're pointy and they're starting to look ugly. So I think we're ready to pull those out. The gomphrena is really, really cute. I wish they were bigger bushes. We'll see, maybe we can do a better job next year. There's Charlotte in the back walking around. She really likes to be part of the YouTube videos, and I had to cut out our voices because it was just so bad. This little spot is super cute. So we have the gomphrena off to the side there, and the broccoli that needs to come out. The dahlias, the lighter lavender ones are called Blue Boy. I love those. And then the darker one is from a mix, I believe, and I really like them this year. I didn't like them that much last year, but this year. Here we have some asters, and these white ones took a while to bloom, and I know it is because we directly seeded them right into the ground. And the apricot ones, pink, they're called apricot, and sometimes they look like that, and right now they look pink. We started in the house, and they're spent pretty much now. They bloomed really, really pretty, and now they're done pretty much. The snapdragons are done pretty much too. I cut them back, and they are blooming. Some of them are blooming. These are red and yellow and maybe white. It looks mostly red and yellow. Those are cute, but they're gonna be ready to be pulled out here soon. Like I said, we're going to start pulling out the annuals. And then our marigolds are all starting to bloom. These are 3-foot tall marigolds. And it's so pretty. I love this walkway here. The sidewalk that goes to nowhere. It goes to nowhere and starts from nowhere. And the little bees, there's bees on everything. I've been enjoying seeing the bees and the butterflies and just landing and sleeping on the flowers, and that's been fun. This is a zinnia. It's an enchantress something. I can't even remember. And then behind it in the bright yellow, that's a Caramia echinacea, which is so cute. And next to it is a hydrangea, incredible blush. It's one of my favorite things. Lots and lots and lots of zinnias. There's another mum. There's 2 little mum bushes right there. They're tiny. Behind it are marigolds. And then next to it is a poppy. It's one of my favorite things. It's like tissue paper. That is also ready to be pulled out or cut back. I don't know what to do with those kind of poppies. I have no clue. There's a really cute coleus. I think it's called Fireball, maybe. Yeah, I think it's a Fireball. It's really pretty orange, and I wish more things in my garden were that color for this season coming up. I'll have to buy more. It's an annual, so unfortunately I'll have to take that out. And right beside it grew a bread seed poppy, which is spent now. I'm collecting the seeds. And right in front of the coleus is a firelight tidbit, and it's just starting to get buds, so I don't know if that's typical. Like I said, it's its first year. And right to the left of the little hydrangea that I just showed you is an autumn joy sedum. So Matt took one stem and stuck it in the ground right in front of this hydrangea bush. And this is what it grew from the spring until now. So in 3 months, it grew a cute little bush. And then this is another incredible blush hydrangea that I love. So we have 4 of these all together. And then on the other side of the loop, we have this little autumn joy sedum. I think it's an autumn joy sedum. We got it from our neighbor, so I'm not quite sure, but from what I've seen from other gardeners, that is what it is. And the bees really love this, and I love the pink and green. It's very, very pretty. And then down a little bit, we have a penstemon, which has gone to seed now, but I kept it because I love the seed heads. It's just really pretty. I love the dark purple foliage on it. And apparently they reseed all over, so we'll see if that actually happens. I'll be fine with it because it's very pretty color. If you love hydrangeas, you need to get the Zinfandel hydrangea. It's one of the first to bloom. It has many, many blooms, and it's so pretty. So it starts out white, bright white, and it goes to like a light pink. Actually, it looks like maybe it starts out a little bit green, and then goes to white, and there is pink and darker pink and red. We bought it in a 3-gallon bucket, so it's bigger than the rest of them, but it's so pretty and so many blooms. This is the backside of this Zinfandel hydrangea bush, and I just wanted to show you how pretty it is from all sides. This is a Limelight Prime hydrangea, so I believe it gets about 6 feet tall. It's more compact than the Limelight. This is a Limelight Prime. It's right on the corner of our hill, and this is our first year, so it was very, very small when we got it. It was just a little 1 quart, and it had no blooms. But look at all these blooms that it has just in the first year, and my favorite thing is the little pink middle of the little florets. Is that what you call them? Flowers, petals, I don't even know. They're just too cute. So they're white and then they're light pink and red. So it kind of looks like the Zinfandel, but it colors maybe, but it looks more delicate or more dainty. It's very pretty. So that's the Limelight Prime Hydrangea. From the other side of the hydrangea, like right on the corner, is our coneflowers. So when you're in our loop, you don't see this hydrangea unless you come around to the corner, then you can see it. Eventually we will. It'll get about 6 to 8 feet tall. But what you do see are the purple coneflowers, which I love. These I want all over our garden, everywhere, in several spots. I only have them right here, but I'm going to plant them all over. I love the pink and the bright orange. And then we planted zinnias. They're called polar bears and illumination zinnias, and they're really big. And one of the sad things that happened this year is these incredible hydrangeas. So apparently they weren't getting enough water, which makes me really sad because we have drip tubing and they just weren't getting enough apparently. So next year we're going to really hydrate them so they don't get burnt. But they were huge. They're huge blooms on these hydrangeas, and they were really white and bright, and they're starting to turn green. Unfortunately, they're burnt, but they're so pretty when they're white. So we have 2 of the incredible hydrangeas here, and they both got pretty burnt, and they flopped. But the thing is when we bought these last year, they were literal sticks when we bought them, and we didn't think they were gonna survive. We actually had a stake next to them and clipped to the stake because we didn't think that they would survive, but they did. And then they got these huge blooms on them, and early in the summer they were really, really pretty and white, like bright white, and then they weren't getting enough water, and so they burnt up, and we didn't know, and so I was gonna have my husband move them, and we're not gonna do that now. We're just gonna hydrate them more next summer, and hopefully they will be okay. There's 2 bees there. They flew together to the next flower. It was kind of funny to watch. These are the illumination variety of the zinnias, and we have these planted here in another spot and a few other spots in the garden, and they're also planted in the back. And next year I'll plant more because I think maybe those were my favorite zinnias. Of all the zinnias that we planted, those were my favorite because they were just big, and the color of the pinks were so pretty. I really liked the lighter pink of them. I just love pink. If you know me, you know that I love pink. And of course, more bees everywhere. These are zinnias, and so this was a mix of zinnias. There was red and yellow. I wouldn't say it's really red. It looks more like a coral color, but these ones got really tall. I think it says on the package 40 inches tall. I really like them. They're in the back of our garden too. Right behind those zinnias is a 9-bark. It's a ginger wine 9-bark, and I love the foliage. It was a really tiny little 1 quart thing, so it was tiny last year, and it got really tall this year. There's only like 3 really tall branches from it, and it only got 2 little blooms, so I'm excited to see what happens next spring. It blooms in the spring, but like I said, I love the dark foliage. You can't see it right now, but in front of it is the penstemon off to the side a little bit. So I tried to put a lot of dark foliage in our garden because I like the dark foliage and I want it all just kind of going together. And just kind of another view of it. Oh, now you can see the penstemon off to the left. And right in front of this 9-bark is a Russian sage, and that also was really tiny. All this stuff was like mostly 1 quart when we bought it. And the hydrangea, so we have one that isn't burnt. All the zinnias all together. I love the zinnias. So this is the loop of our garden, and both sides are full of zinnias. More zinnias, the better. Like I said, the more zinnias, the better. These zinnias were the illumination variety, and these get about 36 inches tall, but what I love about them is the size of the flower. They're really big, and I love the pink color. And so I'm not sure if there's a few different, well, it kind of looks like maybe there's a few different variety of zinnias in the illumination mix, because there's several different shades of pink, and some of them do look different. But the size of these flowers are massive. The only problem with this little spot of the zinnias is that they got some kind of fungus. And so someone told me not to plant them here for a few years. So unfortunately, that's what we'll have to do. I'll just plant them somewhere else because I love them. If you go across to the other side of the loop, inside of the loop is this incredible blush hydrangea. It also was tiny. It was a little 1 quart, and it had the tiniest bloom on it last year. And now this year it grew into these massive blooms, and there's so many of them. And unfortunately, 2 of the branches broke off, so that was sad. But we had some really bad windstorms and just bad weather this spring, so those broke. But we took them off, we chopped them off, and we put them, just the stick, into different parts of our garden, and maybe they'll grow next year. I've seen other people do that, so we'll see if it actually works. And then this one that's kind of flopping on to the right here, that's a brighter pink, looks like it's dead too, and those other 2 branches were right next to it, so I don't know what happened. So maybe we'll take this one off and just plant it somewhere in the garden. So right where I'm standing, if I turn around, you see more zinnias. There's the illumination, and then the polar bear zinnia mix. There's 2, so it's the polar bear are the white ones, and the pink ones are the illumination mix, and I put those together in several spots of the garden. We have a peony tucked in there. We have marigolds. We have snapdragons. We have alyssum. We have creeping thyme. There's phlox that's done. The phlox should be cut back. I think that's what you're supposed to do. I see some gomphrena tucked in there, and a bucket full of dead things, dead flowers that I was cutting the other day, deadheading, and which you can see on another video. You can see me deadheading and throwing things in that bucket. This is a hydrangea. This is a bobo hydrangea, and this hydrangea stays pretty small. I believe it gets 3 feet tall maybe. So we tucked it back here, and it's really small blooms on it right now. The blooms seem to be smaller and just really tiny. The little flowers are really tiny and dainty, and it's so cute. Right next to them are more zinnias. I believe this is also the illumination pack of zinnias that I just put everywhere. Last year, the zinnias were 2 rows right next to that little white fence. We had 2 rows of zinnias all the way down there, and that's all we had. None of these flowers were there. All this is new. Last year, where those dahlias were, we had, oh gosh, I think we had purple fountain grass right there. And here are some more strawflowers that I've been cutting back. And you're supposed to cut them when they're at this stage. And I did. I cut tons of them, and they're hanging up in my hallway in a dry, cool place. I love what they look like when they dry. They sound like paper now, and they also sound like paper after you cut them and when you dry them. Out in the garden, I like when the little yellow middle shows up. I think it's really pretty and just beautiful looking next to all the other flowers out there. And these ones are, if you cut them, they grow more and more. So cut and come again is what we say, apparently. Aren't they just so cute? The little center is just really cute little yellow in there. I have white ones and pink ones. And when they look like that, when they start getting brown, it's time to cut them because they're not cute. And then the white part gets almost black looking and ugly, so cut them off. And over here is the quickfire fab from a different angle. I really love this one too. So this one was a 3-gallon bucket that we bought, a 3-gallon pot. So it was also bigger, and that's why there's so many blooms on it. And it was one of the first ones to bloom also. It has many blooms on it. You can see the Celosia, the Sunday Gold, and the flamingo feather. I want to just take out all the flamingo feather at this point. I took a bunch to save seeds. You can see the echinacea back there. And I think maybe the echinacea needs more sun because they're pretty short, and I think they were supposed to get pretty tall. More basil and all the bees. The bees like the basil too. They have tiny little like lavender flowers on them. So I've been cutting that, and that smells really good. So if you just ruffle it up in the garden, you can smell it. It smells super good. The purple fountain grass is one of my most favorite things. Like I said, they're annuals, so they'll have to come out. And then the sedum right there, I don't know what kind of sedum that one is. And then we put a couple, there might be 5 cosmos in this little spot. And, you know, I planted them right away in the summer. And so I couldn't remember what they were or anything. And now I know they're really dark pink and almost red looking. They're perfect next to the dahlias there. And then a closer look at the sedum. If you know what kind of sedum this is, let me know. I really like the dark foliage. Like I said, I like dark foliage, and then the pink blooms are just super cute. And we kept that all through winter. I like what it looked like in the winter. And then up close of the purple fountain grass and the gomphrena on the back. And these are dahlias. This came in a mix, and I'm not sure what it is or anything, but they have darker stems than the rest of them, and they're more like a double petal, and they kind of fall off faster than the rest of them. These are our marigolds. They are 3 feet tall, and it actually took the taller marigolds quite a bit longer to bloom. So, and I don't really like them that much. I like that they're 3 feet tall, and I'm going to save seeds to the one that I like. There was one 3-foot tall one that I really liked. I love the ruffliness of the flower, so I'm going to collect seeds from that because those are annuals, so they have to be pulled out. This part of our garden was one of my most favorite things, like right away when everything started just exploding in our garden. All the alyssum and then the lamb's ear together was so pretty. We cut back the alyssum about the second week of July, maybe. I can't really remember. We just cut it back, sheared it back almost all the way back to a couple inches, and now it's flushed all the way out. And we'll keep it like that until the first frost, when everything is going to have to be cut back. Those are annuals, so those will all be pulled out. The lamb's ear is a perennial, so it's going to stay. And because this is our first year with everything, our first full year, I'm not quite sure what to do. So I'll have to look and see what we're supposed to do about the lamb's ear. But I absolutely love it. And we we bought 2 of those lamb's ears, and they were just little 1 quart, and they're huge now. And one of them actually got a flower on it. This was a really fun little spot in my garden. I would sit here and drink my coffee. I still have a few more mornings, I'm sure, before our first frost. Unfortunately, that's at the end of September, coming up too soon for me. But I love just watching the hummingbirds and the butterflies in the morning. So in the beginning of my video, closer to the beginning, you see this spot in the video, and that was the night before. So this is the next morning, and I feel like those bees that I was filming were sleeping in those same spots, and they're just starting to wake up now because this is morning and the next morning. And then the bees always look like kind of groggy and like trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And I always, like, I'm so careful when I'm walking around in our back garden and our backyard garden down the path. And I don't walk down there very often anymore because you can't get down there without touching anything. And the bees go under the flowers. They just kind of hang there and sit there and, sleep there. I don't know. I didn't know that until this year, that they don't like fly off somewhere. They stay in your garden. So I didn't look into really anything about bees, but I should, because I kind of actually find it a little bit interesting that they hang out in my garden. Here's another shot of the cosmos the next morning. I was out early. We try and get out early because summer's almost ending and I want to like soak it all in. And so I try and get out there and enjoy. And I'm going to probably not deadhead very much because you can see there's a lot of spent cosmos on here. And I don't know. We'll see if I am going to get out there and like cut all those spent flowers or not. I just might let everything just go because it's so pretty and it's coming to an end, and we're going to be pulling all the annuals up soon. So look at the light, the morning light shining onto those cosmos. It's so pretty. I love the morning. I love it all. I love all day. So that is one of my favorite times, is the morning. And this is the new part of our garden. This is a rose, and that's called the Oh So Easy Rose. And then we bought this delphinium, and we really need to get it in the ground. And I don't know now, it might be too late to get it into the ground. This is the fountain grass again, just blowing in the wind there. I really love watching that throughout the day. And that fountain grass will stay for, until I can't remember, but I think it did die when the first frost came. It's just an annual, so that'll get yanked out. And then the alyssum and the lamb's ear and all the things that are growing in between. The alyssum smells really good, so we have it in the dining room flower box. And if you walk by it, you can really smell it. But we noticed this year that it really has to be mature, or, I don't even know, like, if that's the right word, mature, or like really grown out, flushed out a lot for it to smell really nice. But it really does. It's called sweet alyssum, and it has a really beautiful smell, sweet smell. And there's the purple fountain grass just blowing, and the morning light shining through. And I mentioned before, off to the left there was a lilac tree, that bush that we cut down. And so now there's a lot more sun. The fountain grass needs the sun to turn purple like that. Another close-up of the sedum. And right next to the purple fountain grass is that hydrangea. That's the quickfire fab hydrangea. It's going to turn, I believe it turns into like a really deep red color. And the basil, I like all the different colors together. So I really like the dark foliage of the purples and then the bright color of the Sunday gold celosia. So next year I'm definitely going to plant basil again, that type of basil, because I love what it looks like. And it was like two tiny stems when we planted that into the ground. And so they got really big they grew into pretty big bushes, which I'm surprised. I didn't know that was going to happen. And there's the catmint nepeta off to the left there. That needs to be cut down now. That's done. And the marigolds that Matt just threw some seeds all over right there, and they're starting to bloom now. Right, ready for the fall. Super cute. And then the chives there, those we cut back, and they didn't get more blooms. I didn't know if they were supposed to or not, but we cut them back and they don't have any blooms, but I'm just gonna keep it because it's cute. And the lamb's ear, I highly recommend that color added to your garden as well. All the different colors added to the garden and the different textures, it just really makes the garden just all come together and look so pretty and adds interest with all different things to look at. Super pretty. I also wanted to share this little neat thing. So this is a poppy that I think Matt originally noticed, and it grew, it was tiny poppy, and then it, fell off, the petals fell off, and then I noticed the other day that another tiny one grew. So I just think that's kind of neat. Mother Nature. This is another view of this is the Zinfandel hydrangea, and like I said earlier, this was the next day. So earlier in the video you see it in the evening, and then this is in the morning. Evening is like, it was probably about 6:30, 7 o'clock, and so this is the morning, probably I'm guessing about probably 9 in the morning, 8, 9 in the morning. And it has those really pretty white blooms on them that are starting to turn pink. And last year it did have a few blooms on it, but this year it has way more blooms on it. And I love all the colors mixed together. And I also really love, and I'm taking note that I love it mixed with those zinnias right next to it. Unfortunately, I won't be able to plant those zinnias there next year. I was told not to plant them in the same spot next year because of the fungus that they got. I don't know how they got the fungus. I should actually look that up, but I do know, and I have read that grasshoppers spread funguses, and we have tons of grasshoppers, and I do not appreciate those grasshoppers. And so anyways, I love the morning light here catching on these pretty Zinfandel hydrangeas. And then so I walked into the garden here from the other side of the loop. That's the Incredible Blush Hydrangea, and those blooms on those hydrangeas are huge. And the pink that they were so pretty. So they're turning green now. And these are those cosmos, and that is the lilac bush that Matt cut down. It was way too tall and just not good looking. All the blooms were up on top of the tree, so we just cut it down and then it'll grow back. And then these are the polar bear zinnias, and there's quite a bit more blooms going on these, and those are the illumination, and I think also the enchantress mix is mixed in there. And this is our little loop. Those are the bread seed poppies that I kept. I'm keeping seeds from that because that was one of my favorite things too, is those poppies. Those seed heads on the bread seed, I call it breadstick. Their bread seed poppies are huge, and the amount of seeds that come out of those little seed pods is ridiculous. Probably thousands of seeds. So I just took one, that's all I need, and I'm saving it, and hopefully we can grow more of those. The poppies don't last very long, but those seed heads are really cool, and I will keep them in the garden because they're just add such a neat interest to the garden. These are phlox, and the phlox are done now, and so we're gonna cut those back. And this is another Incredible Blush Hydrangea that I shared earlier. It's just in the morning light here inside the loop. And behind it is the heuchera that you're gonna see up close in a minute here. I think I'm giving you a closer look at the hydrangea. So they were pink, like a blush pink. That's called Incredible Blush Hydrangea. And so they have a blush look to them. And they still actually do. If you look close at them, they're turning green, but they, like underneath, like the little tiny stems look pink. It's just a really cute, pretty color. And this was also a tiny 1-quart pot. And it didn't have any bloom. I don't think it had any blooms on it last year. And so it grew into this, nice sized bush. And then right under it is a juga. It's a ground cover, and in the spring and the early summer it had really pretty purple flowers on it. And this is the hukra. Corobels is another name for it. And it's starting to bloom, and they have the tiniest, cutest little blooms on them. And they bloomed a few times this summer actually, and so early in the summer, and I cut them down, and now in this late part of the summer there's actually more on them. And I love the texture of these, and I love the color, and they'll stay like this height. I believe they're kind of like a ground cover, I guess. I need more of these because I like the color of those. I like different colors in my garden. And behind it is a bloom struck hydrangea, and that has many, many, many blooms on it. And we bought that last year in a 3-gallon pot, I believe. And behind there is weeds all over. And this is another view of the Limelight Prime Hydrangea next to the Polar Bear zinnias. And we can't wait for this Limelight Prime Hydrangea to grow to its height, 6 feet tall, because we kind of want like a fence to block off all the things that are ugly. We live up on a hill. And just kind of feel like a secret little spot. We call it our secret garden. Obviously it's not a secret garden, but that's a good name for it. And then the coneflowers. So earlier I said they're a bright orange. I wouldn't really say they're a bright orange. They're more of a burnt orange next to that pink. And I just love that. And there's bees everywhere. And they sleep underneath those petals. So be careful if you're like deadheading and stuff. I'm super careful because they sleep on anything. They sleep under the petals, they sleep on top of them, they sleep on the leaves, they sleep everywhere, so be careful. Next to that sedum is a Dusty Miller, and the Dusty Miller is a annual. And I like that kind of Dusty Miller because the one that we bought at the garden center has a different type of foliage, but I like that one. This is the Autumn Joy sedum, and the pink on this is so pretty. I tried to get a really good up close look at it. The bees love these sedums. Apparently you can just cut them and stick them in the ground and they'll grow new ones. So I shared earlier Matt did that to one of them, and it grew a little plant. So we might do that more because they're so cute, and I like the texture of those sedums. Matt likes those too a lot as well. So that is the end of our garden tour for the week, and I just want to thank you so much for coming to my little channel and watching, and we'll see you next time.